Hello and welcome to the bite-sized patch notes for 5.05, the second patch of Shadowbringers, today the 30th of July. The main focus of this patch is the introduction of the Savage tier rating for Eden's Gate, but there are quite a few other additions and changes to talk about as well. The new treasure map dungeons of Lai Gaia are actually in this patch. These are new dungeons that appear as portals after completing a Zonur skin treasure map, rarely. Much like before, you were utilizing chance to gain access through multiple floors of monsters past doors to reap new material rewards, many of which are going to be worth an absolute fortune as there are lots of new crafting recipes in this patch as well. We'll check out this new treasure map dungeon soon on the channel. New stuff can be crafted in your Grand Company workshops, including new submarine parts. Submersibles now then got updated with a maximum level of 60 from 50, new pieces are in for them to upgrade to, and of course lots of new materials obtainable only through the submersible missions are in the game. New housing stuff is in, although they don't show any here yet, but you can imagine there's lots of new furniture. There's quite a large section on battle changes next, which I advise you to check out yourself. Significant potency, mana cost reductions and duration buffs got applied to Monks, Ninja, Samurai, Machinist, Summoner and Red Mage, with Scholars getting buffs to Art of War, Broil Mastery and Succor, but they're quite minor, and Astrologian getting treated to its own paragraph of changes, to hopefully put it in line with other healers once again, as prior to this patch it was rather poop. From what I see on paper at least so far, it looks like a massive buff across the board to Astrologian's abilities, so we'll have to wait and see how this pans out when people go out and test this. In addition to those changes, Samurai get Hagekure added as a new action obtained at level 68, which should help fill gaps as it's an instant cast ability, and Scholars get Energy Drain re-added to the game as of level 45, which is interesting to say the least. In further reference, here apparently limit gauges were being filled outside of combat by healing actions at some point, presumably in the 2.x content, and that's obviously now no longer the case, so there was some kind of bug and they fixed it. Onto the main course then. Eden's Gate Savage's 4 bosses are in. The item level requirements for the first boss is 440, the second 445, and the last 2 bosses on Savage here have an eye level restriction of 450 to get in. You will unlock the Savage raid from Luri in Amareng where it left off, and you get a treasure coffer after defeating a boss in Savage Eden, and they say unlike the previous Savage raids we've experienced, treasure coffers do not yield armor and accessories, and now you just have these tokens, and of course those tokens are named after the slot they fill, much like in normal, so weapon is weapon, etc. You get an Eden's Gate book from each area as usual from completion of a Savage boss, which you can collect over the weeks as usual to trade in for Savage gear. The books have the name of the boss's trial name on the actual book itself, so you know which is which. I cannot personally wait to get stuck into Savage for sure, and I can't wait to see some of those streams later. Next up, they say experience gained by Trust NPCs has been increased. If you didn't already know, upon the completion of the main scenario storyline of 5.0, the Trust NPCs get reset back to level 71, and you actually have to level them up as they now have experience bars. You can only level 3 up at once as you go into each dungeon with them, so it takes multiple runs with multiple NPCs to level them all back up to 80, and prior to this patch it took me 6 runs of Holmens to switch to level just one set of Trust NPCs 1 level to 72, so I'll be back testing this change for a video soon, and hopefully it got buffed enough to make it possible so you can level up with them. The new Phantasmagoria tomestones have been added to the game as you'd expect, with a weekly cap of 450 and a maximum cap of 2000. This currency is earned from endgame dungeons and raids, and as such are now in your roulettes as well as rewards, so time to do your weekly caps. We're back to that stage. There's a lengthy section here on PvP, but I don't really have an interest in PvP personally, so we're actually going to skip that for now, but it's mostly just potency changes, and PvP for the most part fluctuates quite rapidly. Now we have a section on new items. They show off the new gear set, which I'm not entirely sure I like the look of yet, which is a common thing for me to feel from a small thumbnail that I cannot easily enlarge, such as this one embedded to the patch notes site. And they do show off a new glamour here as the second image under the new recipes have been added text. This then no doubt is leatherworking or weaving from my eyes and might be made using new materials from the new treasure map dungeon. New master recipes are in for the crafters and also new mounts, of which they show this flying bed. This is rumoured already to be something to do with crossbreeding of plants and using your garden patches again, much like with the flying chair, so get prepared for that. I mean, who doesn't really want a flying bed? If I could have a flying bed, yeah, I wouldn't be sat on a chair right now. And they mention new minions have been added, like this Falf minion. I think that's how you pronounce Falf. Either way, here looking adorable, and you can bet I'll be on these collection videos as soon as possible. And finally, with the mention of new titles and achievements, which is to be expected, we also have the addition of a new summoning bell for retainers, literally next to the levy turn-in NPC area in the Crystarium, which I'm sure many of us would have loved to have last week for sure, but at least it's in now. Either way, the full notes are in the descriptions link, so go check those out, especially the bit about job changes. Let me know what you think about this patch and how hyped you are to clear Savage. Thank you all kindly for watching, and I'll see you all next time.